Did you have any challenges with your fertility when you had fibroids, or it was a walk in the park?
Yeah, heavy bleeding, fatigue, always moody, constipation, just horrid symptoms. I was asked by consultants, what are you doing? Because the fibroids are shrinking and, there was no complications with my pregnancies.
Hats off to you to be like, no, I'm not going to have a hysterectomy. Actually, I want to have children.
Yeah.
That's bold, because most of the times we go to the hospital and we just accept whatever the doctor says.
It's a real friendship. It's balanced. We're both making efforts. You don't have to feel like you have to go to certain places when you don't want to.
To go through a divorce and you're writing a book.
Yeah.
That is, wow. Like, you must have this level of mindset that is so strong. Hi people, welcome back to my YouTube channel called Her Voice, Her Strength. If it's your first time here, please don't forget to subscribe and please don't forget to like this video. So, welcome to the month of July, and the month of July is Fibroids Awareness Month. And I have a special guest called Nina Lemitir. Nina is a mother of three. She's an author and also has a holistic program where she helps women heal themselves naturally and reduce fibroids. Nina was once diagnosed with fibroids, and the medical doctors told her that after this, fibroids will come back and get bigger. With that type of news, she decided to make a change and decided that she will find a way on how she will heal herself naturally. So she has this program to help us women heal from fibroids. Some of you may not know, but around 80% of women are diagnosed with fibroids before the age of 50. So that is the intro for Nina. Let's welcome Nina into the studio and let's have a talk with Nina. Come, Nina. Welcome to Her Voice, Her Strength.
Hi, Andrea.
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. So, Nina, thank you once again for coming here. I know your journey was long, but I really appreciate you coming to Her Voice, Her Strength. Before we dive into your healing journey of fibroids, please tell us about yourself.
First of all, thank you, Andrea, for having me. It's such an honor to be on your incredible show and watch you just blossom into the beautiful, inspiring woman that you are. So thank you for having me. So I am a nutrition lifestyle strategist, and I kind of coined that term because I realized on my healing journey that it took kind of various approaches to my health. So I had to work heavily on my mindset, and that's where the kind of strategist part of everything comes into play, because I'm a firm believer that you can have all the kind of physical prep, whether that's supplements or, exercise, but if your mindset isn't where it needs to be, then your day-to-day decisions are just not in line with, with what you want. So essentially over the years, once diagnosed with the fibroids, I had to work on my mindset, my health, how I saw myself, how I viewed myself. So my confidence, it was just a whole transformation. And then to fast forward when I had my second child, and it was no longer kind of a fluke in regards to my health. I was asked by consultants, what are you doing? Because the fibroids are shrinking and, there was no complications with my pregnancies. And that's where I thought, wow, so all of this is really paying off, all the changes.
Right.
Admittedly, it wasn't overnight. It was very incremental over the years. And I had to lean on a lot of support. I had to relearn things. And I kind of joined certain health groups and worked with various gurus in the industry for nutrition, holistic nutrition in particular. And it was just a whole new world being opened up in regards to healing and what is possible. So I started to share what I was learning with other women, and it just evolved from there, really. And I've been I've got 3 children. I'm not going to say never anymore, but it's been amazing. I've never felt better. I'm now in my 40s and I've got more energy.
You look great.
than when I was in my 20s, where I was just completely just debilitated with the fibroid symptoms, which was, heavy bleeding, fatigue, always moody, constipation, just horrid symptoms. So now it's just a whole new world, and everything is very, very exciting.
Amazing. So when was you first diagnosed with fibroids?
I was diagnosed after I had so I had a smear test that was reading abnormal cells. And it was basically about a year after that. And before I had the abnormal cells, I went through a very traumatic time. So it was a few years of a high stress, put it that way. So that's why I focus quite significantly on stress management, because it's an area that is often overlooked. Women often think, oh, I'll just get the supplements. But actually you need to break down your life and really assess how you manage your emotions and stresses that we all have to face. So it was, what year was it? It's about 10 years ago. So what's that?
Oh, so you were 30?
Around that, yeah. That's when I was diagnosed.
Oh, wow. And did you have your first child then already?
No. So I had my first child after the myomectomy.
Oh, okay. So you had surgery.
I had surgery, yes, because there was multiple fibroids, and the issue was that there were 3 very large ones. So one was nearly as big as a football.
Wow.
And I was basically told that it would be a high chance I'd have a hysterectomy during the procedure because I would bleed too much.
Wow.
So they were trying to prep me for that. And I thought, no, this doesn't sound right. That rather than me, because obviously I wouldn't agree to a hysterectomy. So I just said, after some research, can you just remove the larger ones and leave the rest of them? So this would cut the operating time. And after a few kind of days, they agreed to do that. And that's what we did. And luckily that was done because I bled a lot. I bled, it was I nearly had a blood transfusion.
Wow.
So I got out of there with my uterus, and I was told,
thank God.
Honestly, amen. I was told that it was a high chance they'd grow back, and I could try and see if I'd be able to have a child. So that's where it all changed. Literally, that from that point on, I had to reevaluate my life, why they grew so big, and had to really work on myself.
Hysterectomy, obviously, just to obviously let the audience know, just in case someone doesn't know, is basically they just remove everything, your womb, your reproductive system, where you could basically birth a child. They would remove all of that. That's what it is, just in case no one knows out there. I'm sure some people may know. But just in case, because obviously Nina will probably say some medical terms that we may not understand, but just want to clarify. And I will ask her, what does that mean as well, But I just wanted to say that. Wow, that's a lot. I'm just trying to process. You had surgery. They told you something that was just like, wow. And do you know what? Hats off to you to be like, no, I'm not going to have a hysterectomy. Actually, I want to have children. That's bold, because most of the times we go to the hospital and we just accept whatever the doctor says, as if like our life is in their hands, And so I have to say hats off to you. That is powerful. Only reason why I say that is because I had to, as you know, in my journey being diagnosed with breast cancer, there was a lot of like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. Actually, is there not another way? So I really, really like that. What you did. Advocating for yourself is so important.
Yes.
So important. So I'm in awe of that. for you, honestly. Now, so after you went through surgery and you're thinking about your life and the changes,
Mm.
how was your emotions? How did you feel? What type of emotions did you go through?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was a very daunting, I was always very secretive, and I didn't
Mm,
talk to my sisters,
mhm,
and I wasn't, friendships, definitely not. So I always kept everything very much in me. So it was very lonely, very daunting. And honestly, I just took each day at a time.
mm,
I wasn't in a good place. It
mhm,
was just a lot had to change, and I knew it was about me because
mhm,
I grew up kind of looking outwardly
mhm,
to feel satisfied or feel happy. So whether that was
mm,
seeking love, so-called
mhm,
love, just
mhm.
always outward and never really looking inward.
Would.
So that
Okay.
was the time that I was more focused on me.
Okay. And how was your recovery from the myomectomy? Did you think of the change after the surgery, or was you thinking about the change when you got the news?
Definitely after the surgery,
Okay.
because it was very stressful. Like,
Okay.
I'm someone that I have to look away from having an injection or they're drawing
Okay.
blood. I can't see it. So
Okay.
it's with my kids that I've had to, if they're having their injections, you have to look. But
Hmm.
otherwise, so the whole experience was very, very stressful. And I just decided I'm not doing this again.
Okay.
There's no
Okay.
way.
I hear that.
Mm.
I really resonate with that. And I just want to say that I think I think I'm still like what you said you were in the past in terms of very closed, very secretive.
Mm.
But then again, I'm not like that because obviously her voice, her strength has been birthed from speaking about my journey, right?
Yes.
But it's about trying to get the balance of when do you speak, when do you share, when do you
Mm.
not share, and can you trust somebody, family or friends about what you're going through? So how did you overcome trusting, speaking to family, speaking to friends, and how did it lead? Because you said you've got the support system when you gave your introduction.
Mm.
How did you now start to trust and open up and feel safe? In that journey, was there anything? Did anyone make you feel unsafe? Did you get hurt? Was there betrayal? What happened?
So my sisters were my main kind of strength,
Okay.
and they were always a group that I could finally kind of break down and open up to. And
Okay.
I'm someone that kind of it builds up and then I just break down kind of thing. So
Okay.
I had to learn to just ask for help and not allow that build up kind of thing to happen. So it was just a mixture of asking for help, learning to be vulnerable, and just saying, you know what, I need help, particularly when I was in the healing stage.
Hmm.
And you can't physically do certain things. So yeah, I had to learn how to just be vulnerable,
Mm. Mm.
and ask for help and not be the strong one because I'm the eldest.
Are
And
you okay?
yeah, so it's just that's all I've watched my mum be, just this
Mm.
strong woman that never complains and just works, and that's all I copied really. That's yeah. So I had to change
Yeah. Yeah.
essentially from that.
Okay. So your sisters were your main support system.
Yes, yeah,
Okay, so it wasn't outside yet. It was just your
yeah,
sisters. Okay,
yeah.
family. Um, does fibroids run in your family? Or was it
It
only you?
doesn't, only
Oh,
me.
oh wow.
Yeah. And
Oh,
that's for me, it's more, I think for me, I was diet. It was mainly diet and stress. That's what
okay.
I believe because it's not in my immediate family. It's definitely in my auntie, but it's still quite a far auntie. So
Okay.
she's my my mum's sister's my mum's sister. Yeah, is that the first auntie, second auntie, or is that I'm confused?
Girl, I don't
Okay,
know.
but anyway, my auntie, and she was just ravaged with them, and they thought she was a witch because
Oh,
she kept losing, miscarrying for years,
um,
and then an American doctor came to the village and suspected that it was fibroids and offered her
Okay.
the procedure for free.
Okay.
And she had the procedure, the myomectomy, and then all my cousins, were all born. So she's had
Oh.
six children.
Oh,
She's passed
wow.
now,
Oh,
but
wow.
6 children
Wow.
and twins. She had twins, and
Wow.
yeah.
That's really
So that's
amazing.
the only woman that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah.
That witch bit, it just reminds me of the taboo in the African culture.
Mm,
They automatically assume, okay, if you can't have a child, that it must be a witch or something's happening. There's a
yeah,
curse. There's always
yeah,
something like that, isn't it?
exactly.
In the African community type of
Yes.
thing. I'm assuming you're from an African background
Yes,
as well.
Cameroon,
Yeah,
yeah.
Cameroon.
Mm.
Okay, right. Yeah, that's very interesting. Wow. It's kind of a good testimony as well, though, isn't it? At the same time, linking with your family. So, at what point did you start changing your diet?
I think I started to move more onto the diet a few years once Sylvia was probably about 2. That
Okay.
was when I was really, because by then I was now in courses and I was actively just applying what I was learning.
Okay.
And yeah,
Okay.
making those changes. But the first 2 years was just healing and getting rid of certain people from life, from
Okay.
my life, and
Okay.
just making those kind of changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You wanna shed light on the getting rid of people? Obviously, I guess when you said about not opening up to friends, but you opened up to family. But obviously, throughout that journey, I guess you learned who was for you and who wasn't for you. Because obviously, when a diagnosis comes, you start to see who drops away, who stays, right?
Yeah.
And then when you start sharing that, obviously, you don't need to dive into the nitty gritty, but what made you get rid of people, stay with this person? What made you basically tailor your circle that you felt that, okay, this is my safe space
Yeah.
and this is not my safe space anymore?
Yeah. So it was really just realizing that certain friendships I was working hard to keep. Yeah, I was working hard to keep. Where it's not balanced, then you're almost, like I said, I used to kind of use people or situations to kind of edify myself, make myself feel valued. If I was in these circles, then okay, I'm somebody. So it was work, and I just had to step away because it wasn't real friendships. It wasn't, and I didn't need that to be Nina. I didn't need that. So it was just, saying I'm okay as I am. And if
Absolutely.
it's a real friendship, it's balanced. You're both making efforts. You don't have to feel like you have to go to certain places when you don't want to. And you're just, it's all of just extra stress that you don't need.
I hear that. Before you changed your diet, did you go through counseling, therapy, anything like that? Because you spoke about you had to deal with your mind, your mindset, and everything like that. So what did you do? Did you deal with counseling first and did the diet, or did you do both of them at the same time?
I didn't have any kind of formal counseling. I think
Okay.
it was more my pastor.
Okay.
Yeah, at church. So it was, I kind of took a decision to just let him help me and guide me. And I was more open with what I was going through and just sharing that and having him just guide me. That was I suppose the therapy. But I
Okay.
didn't get any other kind of official
Therapy. Okay.
therapy.
Okay. That is fair. How was that with your pastor?
Amazing. Like, he's a great man. And it was because I never had a father figure in that way.
Yeah.
It was just refreshing to have that perspective, because obviously my mum, she's lovely, she's amazing, but she's got her own angle, which often can be quite emotional, feelings kind of led.
Okay.
And that was one of the main things I identified with myself. I was very like acting on my feelings all the time, which obviously gets you into trouble.
It does, doesn't it?
You've got to.
Yeah.
So now my emotional intelligence is in a whole different place. I'm able to assess before I react. and also take on other perspectives before I draw a conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Just slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
And, so all of that has, I've kind of, it's evolved over the years. It wasn't overnight,
Of
I
course.
must say.
Yeah.
Because anything that's habitual, you can't just, it's going
true.
to take effort. It's going to take mistakes. But yeah, I'm definitely a whole different ball game now when it comes to emotional decisions and situations.
Yeah. I do think it's important to sit with yourself. But we're human, right? I think we need a bit of everything. We need the emotions. We need the feelings. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah.
But I do also resonate with you when you're saying about emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And I think hats off to you again that you're self-aware. That you became self-aware to say, you know what? I need a balance. I need some boundaries here. I need to deal with myself and I need some support. So, you know what? Hats off to you. That's really good. And I really appreciate you basically sharing. You're being vulnerable right now as well.
Yeah.
So I have to appreciate that as well. I just want to say that. Okay, let's dive into the diet. What did your diet look like? And where did you get this research?
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that.
So my diet, pre-op was heavily animal protein, processed foods, fizzy drinks, all the stuff that is kind of quick, convenient. And I wasn't not eating any kind of healthy, good food because I'd eat my mum's food often, but what I was making and what I'd buy out, fast food. So yeah, all of that just stopped, no more junk food. I started to understand that essentially your body can only run on what you give it. And if you're eating foods that are very compromised nutritionally, there are people walking around, what's the word I'm looking for? They are malnourished. You can be overweight and malnourished.
Oh, right.
Yeah, nutritionally. So that was me. That was me. And just understanding that you are what you eat and you are what you absorb. From a gentleman called Patrick Holford, predominantly. He's written over 50 books on nutrition. I went to his course as well. I done his course. And yeah, everything changed because now you just see everything as it's either going to heal you or it's going to deplete from you or compromise your body and your balance.
When you say junk food, was that including snacks, popcorn, biscuits, crisps, chocolate, sweets? So you stopped eating every single form of snacks, sweets. You stopped all of that.
Yeah. So like your typical ones that, you just get they're always out when you're paying for something conveniently there. So all that kind of stuff. And obviously my traditional food is lovely, but it's very
oily,
poor in nutrition and it's very oily, although it tastes great. So just tweaking how I cooked that to just be more nutritionally beneficial most of the time. And then of course I would occasionally eat whatever my mum makes, but just changing that was a big learning curve as well.
Can you tell us about maybe 3 to 5 food? Maybe not what you eat now, but what you was eating then when you did the transition.
Okay, before or during?
During. So when you cut off all of the junk, so what was you now replacing it with?
Right.
Yeah.
So literally eating the same, but just tweaked. So I would make spinach, but not cook it. It would just be literally just dipped in the hot water and then I would make it. So it would be a lot crunchier, if you like, and no more palm oil. So I would blend, the capsicums for like the redness, because tomatoes is something that I react to. So I had to use those and use that with olive oil. Which will give it like the color, but obviously not because palm oil is not ideal. So that was, a key changer. yeah, just basically just making things more less oily and
Natural
yeah,
water.
naturally put together, having more whole foods. So no more white rice, having brown rice, trying more pulses. I tried chia seeds for the
Okay.
first time. I
How was
never knew
that?
those existed. Great,
Chia
nice.
seed,
Chia
yeah.
seed pudding. Yeah, all these different grains that are more whole and
Mm-hmm.
not processed. So
Mm-hmm.
like bulgur wheats and
Mm-hmm.
quinoa,
Quinoa,
which
yeah.
is lovely, one of
Yeah.
my favorites now. So it was just, yeah, exploring different alternatives that I
Okay.
would have in place of, white rice
Okay.
and all those.
So you stopped eating fufu, no more jollof, no more
Exactly.
spicy foods and
Yeah.
oily food. What about coconut oil? Is it not good
No, coconut oil is good.
to,
So
kind of cook
avocado
with?
oil, yeah,
Okay.
coconut oil, avocado oil, yeah, they're fine.
Fine.
So it's just your sunflower oil, vegetable oil, which
Mm.
I was using so much vegetable oil, and
Mm.
it's not ideal for your system at all.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. That's interesting. Wow.
And you
Okay.
think it's healthy, don't you?
You do.
Vegetable, because
You
it's
do
vegetable oil.
oil.
Yeah, so it's just realizing that no, it's not good for you.
Mm.
Seeded oils, yeah, not
Wow.
good.
Wow, that's amazing. How did you deal with not having spice anymore as an African?
Oh no, I still ate spice, but not as so. It was salt would be the main one that I avoided.
Okay.
So pepper. I've never been very like lots of peppers anyway.
Okay.
So it's like the Maggies.
Oh, Maggie
No
cube.
longer, and that was something that was my staple to cook with.
Okay.
So no more Maggie cubes. Just
Okay.
looking at how you can season your food with fresh herbs and spices. So like celery, which has got naturally occurring salts.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever tried celery as a salt?
I haven't. I've tried celery in just where you blend it and you put it in chicken, for example.
Okay.
I've tried to do that as my seasoning.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So,
right.
Yeah, because it's naturally occurring salts, which is far better for you than the processed
seasoning, chemical seasoning.
Yeah.
Gosh, I need to change my seasoning. I've got all these chicken seasoning. What's it called again? Curry powder. The powders and everything like that. So it's about going.
And they all have salt, so that's the issue.
So you need to heightened salt when you're adding all of that together.
Exactly. And the thing is, with salt, it's incremental, and over time, and before you know it, it's just causing a lot of damage and imbalance with your hormones, because there's just so much high levels, your body's struggling.
Oh, wow.
And you don't know, because it's just in your diet, isn't it? And it's in everything.
Yeah. Wow. That's really interesting. I changed my way, the way I cook, wow. Wow. I'm just like, wow, a lot of changes. Obviously, like you said, bit by bit.
Yeah,
bit by bit.
It's just about going in the right direction.
I think when I've tried to change my diet, I've tried to change it because, okay, they've told me this. So it's like, okay, I'm trying to change it, but I'm not enjoying it. So then I feel sad that I can't eat the food that I want to eat. So how did you overcome that? Because my thing is the mental state. So yes, I could be eating all these healthy things, but if I'm not happy and it's making me feel sad, I'm not actually receiving them nutrients.
Right.
Does that make sense? Because it's all the receiving, the energy. Yeah, I'm not happy.
Right.
But I'm just eating it because this is the right thing to do.
Right. And that's why it has to be incremental, and you have to kind of transition. So a lot of my clients, we will do a transitional approach. So if they're, for example, rice, it'll be half white rice, half brown rice.
Okay.
And just make those adjustments, because the thing is, what most of my clients, when they're coming to me, they're feeling bloated a lot. They're not feeling good. And once they start working with me and they notice that they're feeling better, that's their success cycle.
Right.
And that's what inspires them to think, you know what, I prefer to feel better than to feel bloated and tired eating what I was eating. So I help them kind of learn on how they can optimize their favorite foods.
Okay.
Because that's a big part of, because as you said, enjoying your food is important. At the end of the day, you need to enjoy what you're eating. You need to enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's just about listening to your body in regards to whatever it is that doesn't react well with you, and then just making those adjustments. And a lot of my clients after a few weeks, it's like, oh, you know what, brown rice isn't so bad. And I made quinoa jollof, and that was
Oh
so
wow,
tasty.
quinoa jollof.
Yeah.
I want to know how they made that.
Yeah, because when you realize that actually you can optimize your meals, and then you enjoy them, and then you feel great afterwards. So it's like, what have I been missing out? Because you know, to feel really good and enjoy your meal, and then think, actually, I just made a few tweaks. It's not that bad. It will take some time for your taste buds to adjust, but you know, I don't miss feeling bloated after a whole plate of white rice or whatever, and then still wanting more. Your tummy's like
already bloated. Yeah,
it's, you know, it's a thing of the past now. So it's just, I think, particularly as you get older, you appreciate feeling good. I think when you're young, you can get away with so much that it just doesn't faze you. But once you reach a certain age, you want to feel good and make those changes, and obviously see the results that you're looking for as well.
Yeah, that's quite deep. Yeah, because I want to look like you when I'm 40. I'm not gonna lie. I want to look like you.
Amazing.
I want to look like you when I'm 40, and I can see that already. By the time you're 50, you're still looking the same. So, yeah, you look amazing. Wow. But honestly.
Thank you.
So, I thank you for sharing. You know, some food tips and stuff like that for the audience as well, so that they know. You know, someone that's watching here, it kind of helps them to be like, oh, my antennas. Okay, let me try quinoa. Let me try all these different things, you know, and you can still make quinoa jollof. Wow, that's really amazing. Like me hearing that today, I'm like, really? Yeah, so that's really good. So now you've gone to programs, you've gone to study, you've done research, you've been changing your diet. So when did you launch your holistic program? When did you launch? I know you have womb care.
Yeah.
Obviously I follow you on Instagram and the social media platforms, and obviously we connected on Clubhouse.
Yes,
so
I was thinking about this this morning. I was thinking, wow, like that's where we connected.
Yeah, we connected on Clubhouse. Of course, because I haven't actually shared with my audience, obviously, what I've gone through, other things, you know, there's other things that I've gone through. So I'll just wait and tell you guys another time. But me and Nina did meet on Clubhouse, and you was a lovely person then, and you're a lovely person now. So when did you launch womb care, helping women? You know, when did you do all of that, and who did you connect with? You know, because when it comes to natural healing, did you speak to any medical doctors? And if you did, what did they say? Like, no, that's impossible. No, people have to have surgery. You know, how has that journey been, and when, how, what? And tell us, obviously I like the success stories of your clients, and how do you feel on the impact that you're making, basically? So
so it all unofficially, about 7-8 years ago, unofficially. I say unofficially because I was helping, sharing information, but it wasn't official. You know, but officially 5 years. 5 years. And the main driving force is just the concept of surgery and how quickly it's being kind of given to, you know, particularly women of color at the stage it's offered, and the fact that I was meeting women that were having second, third procedures. And one lady, she was told by the consultants that they're not going to operate on her anymore. She has to go and do something else.
Oh, wow.
Basically.
Wow.
And she's still like young. She hasn't had any children yet. You know, and I just thought they need to have this information. They need to realize their power. They need to understand that, yes, the medical world is there, and I'm very grateful for the NHS and everything that obviously is in the UK. However, we still need to be empowered with the understanding of a holistic approach, because even just common sense, cutting some, you know, when you cut a weed, within days it's growing. When you pull it from the root, it gives you more time. But the point is, you need to address the root causes as well. If you're just going to go surface level, that's only buying you time, isn't it? And some women, within months of whilst they're healing, they go for the follow-up appointment.
It's back.
They're back. One woman, there was like 20 fibroids had grown within 4 months. Wow. Do you imagine how that would feel? You've gone through all of that trauma,
the pain, and
you're
the trauma.
still on recovery, and they're back.
That's crazy.
But how do you manage that? Even just the emotions around that, the helplessness. So it's just like, just letting women know that actually it's not perfect, it's not guaranteed, but neither is the surgery or the medications. A lot of them are still in trial phases.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah, a lot of the medications that are being dispensed are still on a trial stage. That's why you have to report your symptoms so that they can document it. And if need be, remove it from the market.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting to know.
Yeah. And you asked another question I've forgotten, but I know that God has put me here to empower women.
Amen.
With this message, particularly women of color.
Yeah.
Because we're having hysterectomies far too early, doing too many surgeries, and it's just not right.
Yeah.
We're not getting the information.
Yeah. And I'm really happy that you've said that. Women of color. I feel like a lot of time you go in there. I don't know if I can say this, guys. I feel like I'm having this. I had this on my other interview as well with someone. It's like, I feel like as a Black person, woman or man, men don't tend to go and check, but I do encourage men to go and check their bodies and stuff like that. But us women, we go and check our bodies. But the thing is, because we are not the doctor technically, right? But when we go there, we know when something is wrong. But when we go there, it's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it, you're young. Like for me, I was dismissed. I went there, I said there was a problem on my breast. And I was told, oh, don't worry about it, you're young, it's just calcification. Bye. Do you know what I mean? That feeling of being, but something is wrong. So we go to these places where, and I think it's the impression, sometimes, it could be wrong, but I feel the energy sometimes I get is, oh, she looks young. She's Black. She's strong. She doesn't feel pain.
Right.
It's just that. So it's like, yeah, just remove this, remove that, cut this. And it's like, hold on.
Yeah.
Pause. I do feel pain.
Yeah.
I may look young, but I may not be young. Because I took it away from the NHS. I went privately to get a second opinion.
Right.
But I'm still advocating. So, most people will think, yeah, but you went privately, so it's great. And it's like, it's the same thing. People need to realize that whether you go privately or not, the same doctors that are at the NHS, also you will meet them there potentially as well. But they also work at the NHS.
Yes.
So I feel like if we don't have you to tell us, women of color, I think it's just going to be chaos.
Yeah.
So I really do appreciate you doing what you're doing. We need more people to speak, use their voice, use their strength, and help us. We need it, and I'm grateful. And I totally agree. Like, women of color, it's really tough out there. It's really tough out there, and I totally it just really touched me. It just really got me, and it's just like, yeah, my journey's been like that. It's like, quick thing is like, yeah, surgery.
Yeah.
Surgery. Yeah. And that's why I was at the beginning, when it came to me, when they were like, yeah, we just got to cut off the breast, I was like, no, there must be something else.
Yeah.
There must be something else you can do.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's going through the journey and the motion. Eventually, yes, I had to have the surgery and lose the breast. However, there was different things that had to be done prior to that. Because if it wasn't done prior to that, the other way around was not going to look good anyway.
Right.
So it's that pushing and searching and researching and, you being our helping hand and our godly hand to actually be here is really important and amazing. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks to God. And it really is just, we have to help each other. You know, we have
Absolutely.
to share the information, and I can be vulnerable with a purpose, but just telling people stuff about me. But if I know that it can help a
Yes.
woman, I'll talk about it all day, every day.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And it's just you justifying,
Mm,
and helping and giving hope. You're
absolutely.
giving that hope. And, in Jeremiah 29:11,
Mm,
God, his mission is to give us hope in the future.
amen.
So aligning with that, you giving hope, you're also aligning with God's word. So
Wow.
I think
Wow.
it's really,
Mm,
when you said hope, I just thought of that scripture of
wow.
Jeremiah twenty nine
Yeah.
eleven because God gives us hope, right?
Amen.
And you're giving
Mm,
women out there hope. There's a
yeah.
different way. There's
Yeah.
another solution. There's a
Yeah.
different route. It's a different way you can do this. And let's work together. And I like that. We need more of that
Mm,
in the Black community. We need women to hold each other's hands.
yeah.
We need to stop the bickering, and we need to literally just hold each other's hands,
Mm, yeah.
and move forward and make impact. And from you, there's another one. I will say to another one and say to another
Mm,
one and say to another one. And it's community. It's like the church, right?
yes.
It's
Yeah.
basically like the church, and us as a human, well, as a Christian, you are the church. But
Mm,
obviously, when we are telling another person about Christ, or sharing news, good news, we're building another church, and it just joins together.
mm,
So obviously, with that scripture, when two or three are gathered, there's that impact, there's that power. So
mm.
you're doing a great job. You're really doing, like, helping us. Like, you're helping us, and please don't stop. It
Thank you.
must not be that easy as well. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
So please don't stop till you get enough. But but no, thank you so much. I just wanted to
Oh,
encourage
thank
you
you,
with that.
Andrea. Thank you.
I wanted to also ask, as you've launched your program, you've launched actually a lot of things. Actually, I think you should tell us what you've actually launched. I can say it, but I prefer you say as well what else
Yes.
you've launched. Because before, when I met you, it was, you're telling people, yes, you can
Yeah.
do this, you can do that. But now
Mm,
you've got a whole different things now
yeah.
underneath your belt. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you. So I've got my signature workshop,
Okay.
which is the one that's been running the longest.
Okay.
And it's just designed to take a woman through the entire process of transformation in regards to the steps that one would take, with a womb condition like fibroids, or it might be PCOS, or endometriosis, or adenomyosis, or cysts. So that's the main one. And then I've since launched kind of broken down versions of the workshop, which are doing really well. And it's focused on giving women a foundation of change. So maybe not taking them through the whole process, but helping them lay the foundation, getting them significant results, kind of taking their dependency off medication and the concept of surgery as a solution. And obviously what they can do, particularly if they've just had a surgery, so that they're not having to keep having surgeries. So
Okay.
it kind of helps them lay the foundation. And then I've got my book that will, if you follow the steps and you implement, everything in that book, you will get great, great results. There's templates in there. There's lots of resources. And then I've got, now, because I've got lots of kind of alumni from the workshops that are so inspired. Even one of my ladies, she started her own kind of coaching.
Okay.
And yeah,
That's
because
good.
she's so like, this is because she's completely a different person. It's not even just, she's just a whole new person, and she's sharing that in her church, and she's helping women. So I've got my affiliate program alongside that. So she's one of my affiliates that basically obviously gets a commission, and at the same time, it's empowering herself, empowering other women.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a global. So I've got clients in LA, in Spain,
Amazing.
New York, all
Nice.
over, and we're just growing the wound care
Yes. I love that.
organization, all around the world, just
I love
empowering
that.
women, the theory and the practical tools to actually get the changes. Because a lot of women, particularly in the UK, if you're a nurse or if you're whatever you're doing, that's your focus. You haven't got time to figure out the formulas and how to do it and what to take, and so it's kind of helping women with that side of kind of planning, organization, and just helping them get results quicker.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. You must have done a lot of work. So, what, 8 years you've been doing this, right?
Yes, yeah.
You've done a lot of work there, and I guess a lot of networking, connecting, speaking to gynecologists, all these different things. How was that journey?
It's been very informative, inspiring to meet doctors that suffer with fibroids, and they're also having surgeries, confused, not sure what to do, because their learning is predominantly around, okay, what medication do I take? Okay, it's very much that terrain. So, to meet doctors that are open to the concept of, okay, what can you do day to day? And I think I've always said there's going to be a place for medicine in all our lives, and it's a blessing, to have that. However, there's still a big part of profits behind medicine, and that area it's a bit borderline in, is it more profitable to keep people in a certain way?
Yeah.
Because they're going to consume more medication.
Yeah.
Than for them to learn how to actually address the root, so they don't need to be having the medication. So I just think after seeing lots of kind of research and documentaries around that, it's made me look at the companies differently. Not saying that they're not doing good, but the fact that they know what they're going to release in the next 10 years. Yeah. And they could release that now, but they're releasing it in 10 years because of the profit that they're going to make along the way. Yeah. With bringing phases of it. So if they're doing things like that, then it's a business.
Yeah, of course. And it's not really a care of the
because if it wasn't, then they'd just bring it out now. Yeah. They wouldn't phase it. So it's just concepts like that. You have to remember that they are a business, and you have to protect your health, just as they're trying to push out their products and get their profits. You have to put that same effort in protecting your health body and not just being on these medications because they're telling you to.
Yeah, that's quite deep. Wow. What are the common myths about fibroids?
Right. A common myth is that if you're not in pain, everything's okay.
Okay.
When the reality is fibroids grow in silent. They're going to cause hormonal havoc in silent, fertility issues in silent. You'll be bloated as well, but there'll be no pain. And this can go on for years before you start to feel pain, maybe.
Wow.
So that's one main myth. And I think another main myth is that cutting them out is the solution. And that's also kind of highlighted because you don't get any other advice when you've had the procedure. You're not guided. You're just like business as usual. Okay, you're good to go. Good.
Yeah.
And women just literally revert back
whatever they're eating and whatever. So how long as well do you stay in the hospital after the surgery, and what's the recovery time? What did they tell you? Is it 6 weeks? I can't remember.
I was out within a week.
Within a week? Yeah. Okay.
But then there's 2 weeks of just excruciating pain.
Okay.
Awful pain. And then after the 2 weeks, it's kind of subsides, but you're on very high pain relief on those 2 weeks. So it's very painful for the first 2-3 weeks.
Okay.
And then
when can you go back to work?
Work would depend on, I would say 6 weeks minimum.
6 weeks, okay.
That's what I would say, but
it
does depend.
And with your routine now, is there any other things like exercise, as a Christian, I know people think, oh, there's a different type of meditation you should do,
Mm.
but you meditate obviously on the word. What do you do? Do you breathe in? Do you, there's different things. So
Mm.
what do you do? Do you think that also helps to reduce fibroids? When you meditate, does breathing help? Does exercise help? Or does exercise aggravate? Is there specific exercise someone should do?
Mm.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's specific exercises, and it's all about listening to your body.
Mhm.
And once you start to do that, from the moment you eat, sleep, you start to do that, and you are going through a level of change, then you will track these changes and you will be able to see, actually, okay, this doesn't work with me because I felt like this
Mhm.
afterwards. So it's a similar approach with exercise. With any exercise, for you to get the benefit, you need to be consistent. So follow a plan for a few weeks, and then you just check in. How do you feel straight afterwards, after a few days? Do you feel more strengthened? Do you feel any aches? Because it's normal to have aches, especially if you're working on particular
Mhm.
muscle groups.
Mhm.
So it's just about tracking that,
Mhm.
and listening to your body. Don't do anything intense if you've not been exercising. So don't just do 2 hours because that's going to cause you
Mhm.
extra pain
Mhm.
and discomfort. So just incrementally build. So start with 30 minutes twice a week. Just build. So as long as you're following an approach that's incremental to your level where you're starting at,
Mhm.
you should be fine. And if you, depending on where your fibroids are or what the situation is, you wouldn't do certain exercises. So definitely get guidance on what to do
Okay.
for your specific situation. But generally, Pilates is good because it's more stretching. But then there's moves that you may not want to do. So again, it just depends. But just, I would say, get guidance on
Which
to do.
exercise
And
to
then
do.
whatever you do, just build up.
Okay.
Don't just jump in the deep
The
end.
deep end. You spoke about stress management.
Mm.
How did you manage? And how do you manage your stress? What do you do? Do you get support?
Mm.
I mean, you're like what's that song from Beyonce? WW Worldwide Woman. I think that's the kind of like that woman is just like, wow. So, you've got stress management, emotional intelligence. You've got that high self-awareness that you're very poised, and you're balanced. You believe on being balanced. I like that.
Mm.
How do you do it?
Yeah. It all starts with us awareness and routines. Yeah. Because your habit is your default behavior. So you have to get honest with what you're doing with your time, and commit to a routine. Like any elites that we see, anybody that's performing well in whatever they're doing, they will show you a routine that they do day in, day out, without fail. And it's non-negotiable. And that's what I now have.
Okay.
Non-negotiable routines from the moment I wake up.
Right.
And it's part of, how I unwind. It's part of, and this is the thing, it has to work for you and it's personal to you. So it's not something you're just going to say, okay, what do you do? Because often when what do you do and they're trying to do what you do. No, you've got to look at your priorities, what your commitments are, what's important to you, and then build from there. So I help women develop their own, I call it daily method of operation. And that's why I've got my wellness plan. I forgot to mention that. Because it was a big part of how I overcame certain food vices and my fight. Yeah, it's because without it, then I'm just kind of, I feel good today, I'm going to do this. And then when I don't feel good, I'm going to be doing this. And that's not going to get you anywhere.
Right. I hear that. Wow. You're a mother of 3.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
As you mentioned, fibroids affect fertility silently. There's a lot of things that it affects silently.
Yeah.
Was your fertility affected or it wasn't? How did you have any challenges with your fertility when you had fibroids, or it was a walk in the park?
Well, I was having miscarriages.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a walk in the park. But I wasn't actually trying. But obviously, when I did conceive,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
didn't stay. So
Oh,
I had
wow.
a couple of miscarriages. And that's what also led to scans and
Mm.
things. Because often, as you know,
Mm-hmm.
before you're getting scanned, there's a problem, isn't there? There's
Yeah.
a complaint because NHS won't just write you and say, come and do a scan. We just want to
Yeah.
check everything's okay.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
usually because you're complaining of something or
Yeah.
something's happened. So that's how I even got to know.
Wow. I'm so sorry about that.
Thanks.
That's a lot. When you said a couple of miscarriages, that's probably a lot.
Mm,
How did that affect you mentally, emotionally? And wow, like you're here, you
mm,
can speak about it, like, just say it.
mm,
But I
yeah.
know we're going through some trauma speaking about it. So if you want us to pause, we can pause. But how
Mm.
did that make you feel as a woman as well?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was a horrible experience because you don't realize what's happening. I didn't know I was pregnant,
Oh,
both
right.
of them. So it was horrible.
Mm,
Yeah, it was horrible. Um, Sorry, for the second one I knew. First one I
okay.
didn't know. And the second one was horrible, very horrible.
Oh,
Yeah, I
wow.
remember I didn't they said you should have come in when you started bleeding, and I didn't because I thought I think I've always had this fear of going to the hospital.
Okay.
And so if I'm going, it's because I'm being forced, or it's like,
Okay.
so that delay in reacting was quite, yeah, I've always kind of felt guilty about not doing what I should have done.
Mm,
So yeah, it's important to listen to your body and not allow your, I suppose, past behaviors of
mm-hmm,
playing things down, or
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah, just listening to your body and doing what you need to do to make sure you've got the care that you need.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
hope you had support then.
Yeah, I did. I
You did,
did
yeah.
kind of. It was a lot of, yeah, it was stress induced as well. I think the
Okay.
second one, yeah, a lot of stress, and obviously they were there as well. So,
Oh, girl. I'm
mm.
with you in that. Oh wow, that's a lot. Um, how has now that you have three children, like we thank God, like
Amen.
wow, like that's a testimony in itself, right? That
Amen.
is
Yeah.
a big testimony. Like, wow. So you're
Mm,
really speaking to women out there, like, yeah, it was this fertility issues and stuff like that. But look
mm,
at God.
yeah.
Like really look at God and wow. And how has this, having children, how has it deepened your commitment to your diet, to your routines and stuff like that? And how do
Yeah.
you manage, you know, children, routine, everything like that, and still be emotionally available for your
Mm,
children as a mother? How do you do that?
yeah, that's a good question. Just about, just about. They love routine.
Okay.
Children love routine, don't they? So
Yeah, they do.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's working by the grace of God. I think the being emotionally available is challenging as a single mum
Hmm.
because there's only so much you can have by
Yeah.
the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um, but it's they're doing well,
Yeah.
and we make it through each day.
That's good. That sounds good to me. That sounds really good to me. Um, you briefly mentioned the book and I showed it to the camera. Um, when did this come to you and say, I've got to do this now and launch this book? I need to get this out there.
Mm.
I have her book, by the way. I just
Oh.
need to read it. I just need to read it. But I purchased it as soon as she said ready on Amazon. I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy it. So
Thank you.
this is a very beautiful book called Beyond the Surgery. Shed some light on this and tell us.
Yeah, so when I realized, since being in the divorce proceedings and everything, I realized that everything that I had been doing was a key part of how I have moved through the transition, the divorce. And I just realized that women have to just get this knowledge and understanding of what they can do to not only support their mental health, that will impact their physical health. It's part of transitioning through these life events, whatever they may be, you know, whatever the situation may be. For you, you've gone through significant, you know, situations that you've come out stronger, and we're waiting for your book.
Amen.
We're waiting for your book.
Amen.
Because it's just letting that woman know somewhere that you can make it. You know, you can go through this if you can just be more aware about this, and because women are, I don't want to put a downer, but women are not, they're not making it. There are women that are getting lost in relationships, you know, relationships are taking their lives, whether it's through physical disease being transferred, because I've had a woman in our community that passed because of HIV.
Oh, wow.
Contraction from her husband.
Oh, wow.
You know, and there's lots of different things that are happening. And it's just so like, sad. How can we be stronger? You know, because I look at my life and I know that for me to be here, it's because I had to work on these things. Otherwise, depression would have taken me. You know, suicide, I was suicidal at so many points. So all these things would have taken me. But by the grace of God, through his amazing way of just putting that light there, you're able to just turn that pain into strength, you know, and that's what this book is about. It's just about, you can convert it, and it's not going to feel good, it's not going to be easy, but you can, you know, come out on the other side.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. I mean, even you opening up about your divorce, I didn't expect you to, but wow.
And I'm open about it,
and it's wow. And thank you for sharing that too. It's not, it's not you, of course not.
It is what it is, and it's
no. And you're right, like relationships can really take over, you know. And I think us women, especially me, I've ignored a lot of red flags. You know, there's been red flags, you know. And the thing is, what happens is that someone like me, what I've noticed is that I can be vulnerable. But the thing is, I know I could be vulnerable with the wrong person, but that I'm still trying to have hope. And that's the problem with us women. Right? God is giving us hope not to be in a red flag, but giving us hope for a good future. Right?
Absolutely.
So I think the problem is that us women, you're right. Like, we're not, we are just kind of suppressing. We suppress. Let me bear with it. You know, that bearing. And especially in my culture, in Lingala, in Congolese, it says Ganga Mutima. Basically, that means hold your heart and just, it's like basically suck it all in and just, you know, and that culture, it needs to be broken. Like, it really needs to be broken. And when you said that, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, the things that have happened in the past, presently this year, you know, and I'm thinking, yeah, you're right. Like, you really just touched me and said, and it said to me, like, I'm not a relationship. I don't have to settle. I don't, do you know what I mean? And it doesn't matter, you know? And honestly, you're just, wow. Like, this is just wow. And we need women like this to also like share that voice, have that voice. To say that, no, if it's wrong, it's wrong. Speak up. We need to be able to speak up, whether it is at work, relationship, places, whatever. We need to speak up. And I really like that, because you've given me a oomph, you know, you've given me an oomph to my spirit. And I really like that, and I really appreciate it. And I have to read this book from what you've said. And it's been birthed from a lot of challenges. This has been birthed from a lot of challenges, like to go through a divorce, and you're writing a book. That is, wow. Like, you must have this level of mindset that is so strong.
It's God.
That it's God. It can only be God, to be fair. It can only be God.
Honestly,
for you to be going through a divorce and you've done this, and until even the paperwork is done, finalized.
Thank you, by the grace of God, honestly.
We thank God. Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is powerful. Powerful. I think I'm going to continue saying that. Powerful. Okay. So, I think, I don't even know what to say. I'm just trying to, I don't know what to say because I'm just trying to digest, like, wow, like everything that you said, it's been wow, 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 so I'm just trying to digest it. And I feel like you've just answered everything anyway, all the questions that I possibly had, you've kind of just shared and you've just been open. So I'm just grateful for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm really grateful for that. And thank you for being here and sharing your voice with strength. And obviously my channel is Her Voice, Her Strength. And your voice is just powerful, and just don't stop sharing.
Thank you, Andrea.
No, honestly, you can't stop. I'm always there. I'm always rooting. When I see your post, I'm just like, yeah, I like that. I like what she's doing. I just like, yeah, like, oh wow, like wow. I just love seeing the way you're just elevating and changing. So, what I would like you to just advise us, or the audience, anyone that's out there going through fibroids, whether they're in a relationship or not, what could you advise them? And what, would you tell them to do, basically? And if you could just speak to the audience, give them that word, whether it's encouragement, whether it's faith, and just speak to them. And
so what I would say is clarity is important in how you move forward with the awareness that you have now, because of course they've been there, but you just weren't aware. So getting clarity on what the situation is, so that you can, whether you're going to have a course of treatment or you're going to wait because of other variables that are pertaining to fertility or what your goals are. The point is you have to get the clarity so that you can get a plan in place, because no action taken is the worst decision, to just not do anything. And a lot of women just don't do anything. If they're not feeling pain, they just don't do anything. So have a plan in place, get clarity. If you get to have a referral, great. And if you're on the waiting list, just take action, have a plan that you can follow that will give you a long-term approach. Because often you can look at it and think, okay, it's a short-term thing, but actually it's a condition now that you have to manage for your childbearing years, particularly. And you just have to be aware that, you have to look at it long-term. So that's what I would say for a woman that has, a fibroid diagnosis or any wound condition. And just a message kind of generally, it's important for you to have a vision for yourself, because if you don't have your vision, you're going to take on someone else's vision. And that's going to come through social media. It's going to come through a conversation. And this is where you can feel lost and overwhelmed. And I often speak to women that just feel lost and overwhelmed. And it's because they don't have a clear vision for their life. And this vision hasn't got anything to do with kids, husbands, boyfriend. No, it's just you. Who are you? And you need to connect with that vision daily, because that is your life, essentially. It is how you see yourself is how you treat yourself, and it's how others will treat you. In this life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you tolerate. And it will always boil down to how you see yourself. And it reflects in our decisions, in what we eat, and who we surround ourselves with, and where we go. It's all about how you see yourself. So
absolutely,
have a vision for yourself. When you do, people will know you do. And you will meet someone, if you're not in a relationship, and they will see that they can't mess with you, because you know who you are.
Yes.
You're not gonna, you're aware of who you are. And when you're aware, you're not going to take certain things.
Yeah.
And people will treat you in line with that. So I think it's important because it just affects everything. It affects our health. It affects how we live. So a vision.
I love that. Wow. You know, you are our Martin Luther. I like that speech. That speech,
go that far.
that speech was good. I was like, yeah, know yourself. I've got 2 more questions for you before you go. What would you say to your younger self right now?
Wow. You're enough.
I love it.
You were always enough. You never needed that relationship. You never needed that bag. You never needed to lose weight. You never needed to do your hair. You are enough.
I love it. I love that. Amazing. And why do you think fibroids carries shame in our communities or embarrassment, and people tend to in and kind of hide instead of speaking and asking for support? Why do you think in our community it is a more of a hush, hush, hush? Let me not speak to anyone.
I think it stems from the concept of periods and the menstrual cycle itself. I think because that is something that you're not, like my mum used to say, no one should know you're on your period. It's that secrecy and the way, I think it stems from that.
Okay.
And it's just about how you grow up. Because if you grow up like, oh, I need to hide this and I shouldn't, and then that's just naturally how you would treat a condition.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what's that?
Yeah.
And it's something down there, and it's you don't want everyone to know. You don't want anyone to know. They're going to think something's wrong with you. Yeah. So I think it's that cultural perpetuated kind of idea around periods and how we grow and how we look at it. I think so.
Okay. And finally, I said 2, but last one. What does strength mean to you?
Strength to me is awareness of who you are in Christ, who you are.
Amen.
Who you really are. Because once you really know who you are, everything's clearer. Everything's easier.
Yeah.
If you think about it, because a lot of what I personally have struggled with, it's because I didn't know who I was. So I was creating a lot of complications and creating problems and, you know, using materialistic things to feel better. So it's just, I feel like strength, real strength, is just knowing that you are enough and knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Because once you do, you're strong.
Yeah, you're strong.
You know, you're strong. You don't need anyone or anything.
Yeah, it's true. Wow, that is so powerful. God bless you. God keep you
too, Andrea.
and keep your family.
Amen.
You're doing so well. And may God just continue opening more doors, multiple doors for you.
Amen.
In Jesus' name.
And you.
And we're not finished, guys. So Nina's going to tell you where you can find her in terms of her social handles, her programs, whatever she wants to share. She's going to share with you now, and where you can find her before we say goodbye. Over to you.
Thank you, Andrea. So you can connect with me via my website, which is ninalemtier.com. So that's NINALEM.com. And I'm on the Womb Care, which is the_womb_care on Instagram. And I'm on YouTube as Nina Lemtier as well. So I'm sure if you put Nina Lemtier in Google, it will come up.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and continue doing what you're doing.
By the grace of
continue just making that impact. You're making a great impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea.
So guys, that was another episode on Her Voice, Her Strength. I always say, if it's your first time here and you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Like this video, share this video with somebody, and also comment below if you've got questions. Nina, I will at Nina, and say to her, excuse me, Nina, someone's got a question. So just comment below, reach out to her. She's giving you her Instagram, everything. She is such a lovely lady. She has been supportive to me. We've had different talks, not just about what she does, just other personal talks as well. She is such a lovely woman, and it's a safe space with her. That's what you've got to remember. If you want to go to someone who's safe, I personally recommend her anyway. So I'll see you again on another video.